I'm back! A few months ago, I bought a knockoff Arduino kit at a yard sale for the price of $1. Until recently, all I did was play around with it a little bit and never did anything real. Emphasis on until recently. A few weeks ago, I decided I needed a project. I thought I would challenge myself to make a handheld gaming console from one of the lowest spec computers you can get. I had all the parts I needed in my Arduino kit to get started. I had a computer, a breadboard, a screen, a stick, and all the jumpers I needed to put them all together. So I got started. It took a little bit of work. But finally, I finished. Here is the result. There have been many handheld gaming consoles over the years. Some better, and some worse. But I can prove to you that from a technical perspective, at least, mine is the worst of all. Why? Let's take a look at the specs. So what do I have? I have a single core processor running at 16 MHz that is significantly slower than most graphing calculators. I have 2 kilobytes of RAM, aka 2 million times fewer than the Nintendo Switch, and I have a 16:2 text-based display that is 32 characters. So yes, from a technical perspective, pretty bad, but that doesn't mean it can't be great in other ways. The only issue with my makeshift handheld is that there just aren't any games for it. That's where I come in. I'm a programmer and I love solving problems. Let me tell you, this project gave me my fair share of those. I decided I would go with a classic. In fact, the first video game ever made. Yeah, that's right, Pong. So I got to work. I started writing some C code and soon found out there were a few problems I had to deal with. Sure, the CPU was slow and I had basically no memory, but my main issue ended up actually being the display. It's tiny, like 64 by 16 pixels, tiny. And that wasn't even the biggest problem. The biggest problem was that it's not even designed for drawing graphics, it's designed for text. So if you do want to do graphics, you can define up to 7 custom characters and then rate them to display as if they were letters. Otherwise, things were pretty simple. Getting input from the stick was easy enough, and the rest was just some simple programming and math. This worked out for a while. I was chugging along. I had a left paddle, I had a ball, I had some physics, I had some asynchronous timing so that I can time things without freezing the game every half second. Then I ran into my first major roadblock. Yes, roadblocks. Then I ran into my first major roadblock. I hit the 8-character limit, and I still needed more. So I was like, fine. What I'll have to do is I'll just redefine each custom character every time I need to change it to something else. And yes, you can do that, but the problem is you can't do it too often. So what I was tasked with doing was finding a scheduling method so that each character that needed to be redefined was redefined at a time where it was possible to do so without breaking the game. I won't bore you with the details, but basically, I changed the custom character for the left stick whenever it needed to move, with the player input. I changed the right paddle whenever the AI wanted to move, and I changed the ball never, because it moves too fast for that to be an effective method, and I had custom characters to spare. That brought me down to only 5 out of 8 custom characters on the screen at any one time, and I had drawn everything that I really needed to. So I added a screen for when somebody scored a point, I added a screen for game over. I tried to add sound, and it kind of worked. It worked for the first few times, but eventually it just devolved into a piercing shriek, which was painful to listen to. I figured that's just some kind of problem with my timing method. This took a lot of work. It doesn't seem like much just from my short script here, but in reality, building and programming this thing probably took me 20 hours, and working on this video has probably taken me more than that. However, after all of this, I do finally have something I can be proud of. I present to you Pong. I learned a lot from this project. I had never before had the experience of writing really low-level code. And it was a really interesting process designing both the hardware and the software for this, and conquering the constraints I was given. Anyways, enough of the sentimental nonsense. I'll have the code available on GitHub. I invite criticism, and I would appreciate if you would contribute. I'll also have a link to an Arduino emulator setup in case some of you don't want to build your own one of these consoles. I would also love to see people make their own games for this platform. It would really lend it some credibility. Anyways, I'm not nearly done doing fun things with this little Arduino kit I have. In fact, I already have something in mind for the next video maybe. Other than that, if you have any video suggestions, just tell me in the comments, and I'm out.